Fiscal policy is the deliberate changing of government spending or taxation policy in an effort to bring about desired changes in the economy. So it's an intentional intervening in the economy on the part of the government. There's two parts to fiscal policy. The government can change government spending or they can change taxes. Each year, the Congress or Parliament of a country decides on spending and taxes when they decide on a budget. A household budget has two parts, money coming in from income and money going out because of consumption spending. So, just like that household budget, the government also has a budget, and each year Congress needs to figure out how much money will be coming into the government because of tax revenue and how much money the government will spend on providing public services like education or military protection, etc. In the equation C plus IG plus G plus XN equals AD, the way that the government can shift the AD curve in the direction they want it to go is that they can change the G part, the government spending part, or they can change the C part, household consumption, by changing personal income taxes. You know from before that if the government changes income taxes, it can change household spending. You can remember fiscal policy by imagining the government has taxes on one fist and spending on another fist, and they can use their fists to knock out problems, fists like fiscal, taxes, spending, bam bam, out you go recession, or out you go demand pull inflation.
Check out the rings on my fists. I'm the government. I'm taxing. I'm spending. I'm using my fiscal policy.
Anyway, expansionary fiscal policy means they intend to increase aggregate demand. In other words, they intend to expand aggregate demand, shift it to the right. And the appropriate time to use expansionary policy is when the economy is experiencing a recession. So here's an economy with a recession. If AD were to shift just enough to the right, then the new equilibrium would be at potential GDP, and we would knock out the recession. If the government wanted aggregate demand to increase, what should it do to government spending? Excellent. The government should increase government spending to increase AD. What should they do to personal income taxes? Yes, if the government wanted AD to increase, they could lower personal income taxes in order to increase household consumption spending. So because doing either of these would increase the G part or the C part of the equation, that would cause aggregate demand to increase. If the government calculates it correctly, the economy's new equilibrium will be at potential real GDP, and although price level might rise, we assume there is an acceptable amount of inflation we are willing to take for the sake of reaching potential GDP. So, if you've paid attention to the goals of Abenomics, they state a target inflation rate of 2%. That is, the Japanese government wants to increase AD to increase output and employment, and to obtain this goal, they are willing to accept a 2% rate of inflation that they assume will go along with the economic stimulus policies. They know that AD increasing will increase price level, but they are willing to keep increasing AD until they hit a 2% rate of inflation. Contractionary fiscal policy is meant to decrease AD. It is most appropriately used when the economy is experiencing demand pull inflation. In demand pull inflation situations, excessive spending has caused the aggregate demand curve to intersect short-run aggregate supply at a place where equilibrium output exceeds potential GDP. Sectors are like buying, buying, buying. So if the government wants to rein in that spending and decrease buying, they want to decrease aggregate demand. And again, if they were going to use fiscal policy to target this problem, then they should decrease government spending or increase personal income taxes. These two actions would decrease aggregate demand. By decreasing government spending or increasing personal income taxes, or both, this would decrease the G component of AD or the C component of AD, and therefore the total spending at all possible price levels would decrease, so aggregate demand would decrease, and hopefully hit the target of lower prices and potential real GDP.